Hi, I'm Jason Sterling, and this is the Sims Sunday Show, still called the Sims Sunday Show in lieu of anything better that I've come up with, which is nothing. So, the Sims Sunday Show today. Today we're going to talk about why I love The Sims 4. And let me state from the start, that does not mean I don't love The Sims 3 or The Sims 2 or The Sims 1, because I do. I love all the iterations, I've played all the iterations, and I've always enjoyed all of them. This just happens to be about why I love The Sims 4. And, you know, to start off with, this is kind of what prompted me to do this video. The reason why I think I love The Sims 4 so much is because of The Sims themselves. I really have never had such an attachment, such an emotional attachment to The Sims, to my characters in game. And these particular Sims, I really do. And the other day, I was recording some video, for the storyline I do. And one of the Sims was proposing to another one. And I actually got a little teary-eyed. I actually felt like, oh my gosh, they're going to get married and they're going to be so happy and all this and that. And I kind of thought, this game really has an emotional impact on me, and I think a lot of other people. But it definitely has one on me. And I don't mean like a true human being. No, I mean if my Sims, if they died or something like that, I would be upset, But I wouldn't be upset like if my cat died or my son. If my son died, I'd be inconsolable. I'd never get over it. The Sims I would eventually get over. But I do feel an emotional attachment to them. I think like a lot of people do, like a character in a movie or a character in a book or something like that. And if something happens to that character, you feel a sort of emotional impact. And I think part of the reason is because the Sims really are more expressive and more alive than the Sims have been in any iteration so far. I think their facial expressions, I think the subtlety sometimes in their expressions, the subtlety in what they notice. There's some pictures playing here of Sims right now as I speak, but you'll see a few of them where they have a sort of eyes off to the side where they're looking at something going on. And they're not reacting to it like when there's a fire or a death and everything stops and everybody rushes to see. It's very subtle, that sort of like just a glance over. Like, what's happening over there? Because they don't really know them, but what's happening over there sort of glance. And I think that's part of it that makes them seem alive. I think their mannerisms make them seem more alive. And so I do feel like that's one of the reasons why I love The Sims 4 is because there is this emotional attachment to it, and I don't think I'm alone in that. And as I've thought about The Sims 4 ending, I have been really kind of concerned. Like, oh my gosh, I won't have this group of Sims that I play with all the time available any longer. It'll be a whole new group, and it'll be a whole new group that acts differently. And so, yeah, it has concerned me that, what am I going to do? I don't have Reg and Max and their extended family that's grown over time because I've used them through this whole, iteration practically. Well, no, not really. First couple of years I didn't. But some of the people they interact with I did. And so this extended family has been something that's grown over all of these years. And I really do think, wow, what am I going to do when I don't have them anymore? Maybe that's part of my reluctance to see The Sims 4, end and go on to The Sims 5. And I've never felt that way before. I mean, certainly not with 1. When The Sims 1, when Sims 2 came out, I was done with 1. I was 1. 1's over. Over. I pushed it out of the way, threw half the disc away, didn't care. Wasn't going to need them anymore. Because that was over. The Sims 2 was here. And when The Sims 2 was done, I didn't get rid of everything, but I moved right into The Sims 3 without a care. Not a concern about my Sims from The Sims 2. No sadness. I didn't touch The Sims 2 again for years and years. And when The Sims 3 came out, I did kind of play The Sims 3, sort of a crossover, transitional type of time between 3 and 4. So I did do that, but I don't ever really look back and think, wow, I really miss my Sims from The Sims 3. And I don't. I mean, they were fun to play with, and I love The Sims 3. And if I go back, they're all still there. I can play with them. But I never felt an emotional attachment that I do to The Sims 4 Sims. So that is the first thing that I think really makes me love The Sims 4. Also, I do feel like The Sims 4 has done several things, a lot of things, the best in the series. I know it's debatable, I know, and I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, but there are definite things in The Sims 4 that I feel like are the best in the series. First of all, build mode. Build mode is truly the best in the series. It really is. And, you know, in The Sims 3, when I go back and build in The Sims 3, or when I build in The Sims 4, what I really miss from The Sims 3 is I miss cast. I miss the cast system, the create a style system, because everything could match, and I could have matching furniture, and I could create my own patterns, and it was almost like being able to create CC, you know, custom content on your own. So I miss that. That's what I miss in 4 from 3. Well, and spiral staircases. I miss those two, and we still don't have them, and it's been 5 years, and no, the new stairs, you can do them in kind of a square spiral. That's not a spiral staircase. I like the stair update. That's not a spiral staircase. Okay, so yes, those two things I missed from 3. But when I go back and build in 3, oh my gosh, I miss so much stuff from The Sims 4. Build mode. Build mode in The Sims 4, it's easier, it's more intuitive. You're able to do so much stuff with the tools in the build mode of Sims 4. And it's the best. It's the best of all the iterations. In fact, I never even really built until 3. I would build and work on my own house in like The Sims 2 and Sims 1, but I never really built. I wasn't a builder until The Sims 3. And I would say some of the best stuff I've built has been in The Sims 4. And certainly when it comes to trying to do experimental stuff with, say, roofs or cutting out floors or stuff like that. So build mode. Build mode I think is the best in the series of all the Sims. I also think the worlds are the best. I do. And while I miss open world, and I miss it terribly, and I'm telling you right now, if we don't at least get open neighborhoods in The Sims 5, I'm going ballistic. I'm going to go ballistic because I know everybody wants it. I don't care. I don't want to hear about computer specs. I don't want to hear about resources. I don't want to hear about none of that crap. If we don't at least get open neighborhoods in The Sims 5, ballistic. But I will say, I love the fact that we're able to switch worlds in The Sims 4 and go from world to world. I simply love it. Simply love it. And in Sims 3 it was really hard. And in fact, I ended up completely losing, my main save file once in The Sims 3, trying to switch my sim from living in Sunset Valley to Lucky Palms. And it was my fault. And it even said on the screen, "You're about to overwrite your save. Do you want to?" Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I do. I messed it all up so bad. But anyway, the thing is, in Sims 4, you can go from world to world. You can go from world to world. You can go from style to style and different types of world so easily. So I love that. And the worlds are gorgeous. The worlds are beautiful. They are lush. They are incredibly detailed. They are so much effort, I feel like, goes into world creation. That is mind-boggling. They are the best of the series. Again, it's debatable. I know. I hear you out there. I hear you debating right now to the screen. That's fine. But they're the best of the series. And some of them are absolutely just top-notch. San Myshuno. Urban San Myshuno is fantastic. It is the best urban environment that we've had in The Sims. Small town Strangerville. Not only is Strangerville, I was blown away by it. Not only is it gorgeous, not only is it beautiful, it has a fantastic color palette. It is also the best representation of a small town in The Sims 4. Not in The Sims 4. Definitely in The Sims 4. Like about the only small town. But in The Sims as a whole, it's the best representation of a small town. Also, Selva Dorada. Selva Dorada, is so lush. It's incredibly detailed. It feels like a jungle environment. It really does. Sulani, same way. So, in fact, the world of Sulani, thank God I had that world, because that's basically what justified the price of that pack was the world itself. But the world was worth it, and the world was gorgeous, and it's beautiful. And still, every time I look at pictures of it or I go there, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. Del Sol, another one I absolutely love. Del Sol is a perfect representation of sort of a Midwestern and Western urban environment. Kind of a downtown core surrounded by sprawling suburbs. And more than that, I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's another one that I'm just so really in love with. Those are my big ones, though. Those are the ones I absolutely adore. I think all of them have been done well, but those are the ones I really, really, really adore. And yes, I know. A large part of it is that it's got the backdrops, and the backdrops are just a two-dimensional backdrop. That's what the background is. It is. It's a two-dimensional background. It's a two-dimensional backdrop. I get that. I totally get that. But at least it's there. At least it's there. And I get that you can't go in every building. I totally get that. You couldn't go in every building in The Sims 3 either. But I totally get that you cannot go in every building. But at least they're there. At least you have the simulation of an urban area or the simulation of a small town. And that's what the game is about. And so, when I'm in my Shuno and I'm in my Sims apartment and I can look out the window and I can see the bridge lights, going off, and then I see, a mass transit train, elevated train come across the bridge and come into the neighborhood, that's great. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic simulation. So they're the best. They're the best of the iteration. Or the best of the series. Or the worlds in The Sims 4. I really believe that. And the way you can move from world to world. Also, the best in the series is vampires are the best of the series. Well, I'm gonna back up real quick because this is another thing that is the best in the series. It wasn't really something on my list, but I'm gonna add it real quick. Talking about San Myshuno, because apartments are the best in the series. They are. Now, let me preface that with, and I hear you, and I hear it in my own head, but Jason, you can't build them. And you can't put them anyplace else, and you can't, and that's true. And that was a huge disappointment. It was a disappointment I still feel. I still feel that disappointment. But it doesn't really change the fact that they're still excellent. That they're still really, really well executed. I wish I could build them. I wish I could put them someplace else because they're so well done. Especially the buildings that have 3 and 4 units in them are especially realistic. And, despite my disappointment, I still can say apartments are the best in this series, in Sims 4. I love the way they're done. I love everything about them, except you can't build them or put them anyplace else. Except for that. It's just a big thing. But they were done well. They were done very well, and I think they were the best. I think vampires were done the best of this series. I have never been into playing an occult sim. Never used them. I bought Supernatural and Sims 3 for the stuff. That's it. I bought it for the stuff and to build stuff. And in the end, I kind of did a little stuff with witches, a little bit, but not much. In fact, I actually liked Dragon Valley better for doing supernatural type stuff than I did ever played with witches or vampires, and God knows not werewolves. So Vampires was going to come out in Sims 4. I really wasn't all that concerned because I don't play occult Sims. I don't care. I thought, well, great, some new build stuff, which is what I always think about a pack. Well, at least it's new build stuff. And then they talked about what was going to be in the pack. They talked about how it was going to be laid out, and I really started to get interested because, to my way of thinking, and excuse me, my voice is still not entirely back, as you can tell, but I feel great. To my way of thinking, Vampires was and still is just one of the best examples of the game pack as a mini expansion pack, where you had this great new game mechanism, the vampire system, where you could become a vampire, where you could customize the vampire to be the way you wanted the vampire to be. Had a new small world that came with it, and a new selection of well-themed, keeping within the themed clothing built by objects. I thought it was excellent. I was blown away. And that was still at a time, I feel like, where the Sims were still a little shaky, and I was blown away. I loved it. I still love it. I still think they did a fantastic job. I still feel like Vampires is the quintessential defining, sort of template for game packs. I really do. So I was so impressed with that I thought, well, I'm going to really go into this and really with an idea of I'm going to play these vampires and see what they're like, and I really enjoyed them. To the point that I have a couple of vampires in the game. One of my main character is a vampire, because I just felt like for whatever reason, they seemed a lot more real to me maybe than before. And even when they're not in vampire form, I kind of feel like there's a sort of darkness about them, and maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just reading, that into it. It could be. It could just be me reading it into it. But that's why I like them. So I think they're like the best. And I think toddlers are the best. I think toddlers are the best of the series for the same reason. Because before The Sims 4, I hardly ever played with toddlers. Hardly ever. And again, the toddler group, I felt really bad for them. I had a lot of sympathy for them. I wanted them to have toddlers. I did. And I stood in real sympathy for them. I felt like they were not treated well. And I felt all the bullshit about not saying, hey, we're doing toddlers, or giving out information about that was just that. I don't care about all the reasons. I don't care about the legal reasons. I don't care about corporate policies. I don't care about any of that. And no consumer does. No consumer says, oh, well, they got a corporate policy, I guess. Okay, I get it. No, we don't get it. We don't care. We're a consumer. We want A to B to C. That's what we want. And we wanted toddlers, and that's all that mattered, right? Okay, so... and like I said, I mostly wanted them just for the people that really wanted them, because there was a really big push for that. Until they arrived. And again, the toddlers, I feel like, are the best of the series. The graphical style of The Sims 4 lends itself to toddlers. The softer sort of graphical style, the little toddler round face, the little pudgy toddler look. The Sims 4 is perfect for it. And the toddlers, I felt like, were designed by people who had a toddler. Okay? Instead of by people who had actually lived with a toddler and knew what toddlers do, instead of people who were imagining what it was like to live with a toddler and what toddlers do. Because they come across, again, as very, very real. And to the point that, although I never really used toddlers, never before, they're all over the place in my game. I constantly have them. If you've seen the RM Cascadian, if you've seen any of the pictures I put out, toddlers are everywhere. They're all over the place. I have toddlers everywhere, so I think they're some of the best too. And let me tell you, I'm going to end there with with the best. I could go on. There's a long list of things I feel like are the best in the series, and that's not including things I think that they've done just as well as any other iteration. So that's why I love The Sims. It's for stuff like that. I really do, because I really do think those sort of things are the best. But I'm going to switch now from that to gameplay, because gameplay is something that really does take a lot of heat, and sometimes it's justified, I think. Sometimes I don't think it's justified, but sometimes I do think it's justified. It definitely takes some heat. And I'm thinking of you, Island Paradise, that in some ways, a lot of ways, I think a lot of resources, which again, if you've ever heard me say, you're going to hear me say it again, when you hear the word resources, that means money. That basically means money, because there's no resource that can't be solved without money. So that means money. And I think a lot of that went into making water, routable, so that your sim could swim in it. I do. And, okay, fine. But I think the gameplay did suffer there. So anyway, sometimes I think it's justified. But I want to talk about gameplay, because the fact of the matter is, here's the thing I see with gameplay. I think there's a couple of different play styles. And gameplay with me, I never find it as boring, or I never find that it runs its course with me as much as with some other people seem to. And I think here's a big difference. I don't play a pack. I don't get a new pack and I play the pack. I get a new pack and I integrate the pack into my existing playstyle, into my existing game. So I don't really get, say, like University, I don't get that pack and then say, okay, I'm gonna get my sim reg here as a single sim, and I'm gonna put him in University, and I'm gonna get him a roommate, and then I'm gonna go find somebody to go woohoo with in the shower, or I'm gonna probably do that first. I'm gonna find someone to woohoo in the shower, then I'm gonna get a roommate, and then I'm gonna enroll in classes, and then I'm gonna ride my bike to the classes, and then I'm going to graduate, and then I'm gonna be like, okay, so I did it. Now what? That's it? That's all that's in the pack? Well, I did that. I'm done. So, I'm bored now. And that does happen. And if that's your play style, I get why you're bored. I do. And I think you're probably always going to be bored with The Sims anyway. Because it's like me with Star Wars Battlefront. And I love Star Wars Battlefront. I really don't have any complaints with it. But Star Wars Battlefront puts out a new map And I go play the map, and I love the map. The map's super cool. And I learn the map, and I learn where I need to go on the map to do okay. I'm not going to say great, to do okay. And I play for about a week, and then I'm bored. You know, and then I wait for the next update or something like that. And so I see people kind of do that with The Sims, and they do get bored. But I don't think that's limited to The Sims. Like I said, I think that's kind of a game thing, because I see that with a lot of games. But I don't do that. I integrate the pack into my existing play style. So yeah, maybe I might send one of my Sims to get some continuing education, and I'm going to prepare this Sim, you know, my kid, maybe to get him more ready for college, and maybe think about what I need to do for that. And then, you know, maybe I'm going to have someone just moved, my mom just moved to that town and explore the university and see what it's like and go buy some stuff. And I'm going to build some stuff. And so that's how I do it. And that's why I don't get bored with it as much, I think, or as quickly. And the other thing I see a lot is people who go back and play The Sims 2 or The Sims 3 after a long break, or brand new especially. And they're like, oh my God, there's so much stuff in The Sims 2, or there's so much stuff in The Sims 3. And it's true, there is. There's a lot. There's especially a lot in The Sims 3. If you're playing all the Sims 3 packs and you're playing the Sims 3 store as well, you've got like unbelievable amounts of stuff. And all of that stuff came in the same amount of time that we've had with The Sims 4 so far. And The Sims 4 is not caught up. It hasn't caught up with that. But the thing is, you are playing completed games. And so it seems like, because there is a lot of stuff there. There is. But I've noticed that people who come into The Sims 4 now, new from the start, you know, they're playing it from the start, they're also impressed with how much is in the game. And a lot of times they seem a little confused if people are like, well, this is boring, I'm done with this or whatever, because, or I'm ready for The Sims 5. And the poll I did recently reflected this. Over half the people didn't want The Sims 4 to end for another 5 years. And a common theme there was, because I'm not done. I've still got so much left to do in this game. I've got still so much left that I want to do with this game. And so I feel like if you've been with The Sims 4 from the start, and you played each pack as it comes out, and a new pack comes out, and it's not as exciting because you've been here this whole time, like myself, been here this whole time. But if you're brand new, like you would be to The Sims 2 and 3, wow, it's super exciting. It's incredible. Like, oh my God, another new pack, and I still haven't played through these packs, and this game's got so much stuff in it. And so I see that as kind of a difference too. And I keep that in mind when I'm playing The Sims 4. If I quit playing The Sims 4 for 6 months and came back, I'd probably be really surprised at the stuff I've missed. Like when I went back to The Sims 3, there was stuff that I'd missed. And I think the same thing's true of The Sims 4. So that's just my commentary, my thought on that with The Sims 4. So at the end of the day, I do love The Sims 4. I love The Sims 4 for The Sims, and for build mode, and for the world, and for the gameplay. I love to build in it. I love to tell stories in it. I love to relive my own past in it and relive the past in it. I love to create the future in it. And I love to just play it. Just sit down and just play it sometimes. And that's my take on it. That's my take on it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Next week I will be out of town. I will be on vacation. In fact, this time next week, I ought to be, you know, kind of buzzed and laying around on a ship somewhere. That's, knock on wood. Knock on wood! I ought to have a drink in my hand and enjoying myself for a week of leisure. And the week after that, I will be back. I will be back on Sunday. I'll be back on Saturday, but I will be here on Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to do a video or not. I might. I've thought of a couple of things I could do. I might do a video just of my trip. Why not? It's not The Sims, but what do I care? It's my show. So do what I want. I might do that. I might do pictures. I might string some pictures together and kind of talk about my trip. Find some cute shots of my son, which people seem to like sometimes. And do something like that. I don't know. Or I might skip it. That's how tired I am. So we'll see. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Hey, join the crew. Join the Cascadian crew. The crew of the airship Cascadian. Hit like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at JasonSterling70. Thanks for watching.